Hello students and namaste everyone. I am Dhaval sir and our today's topic is your unit 1 chapter from Honeydew, the best Christmas present in the world by Michael Morpurgo. So in the first part of the chapter we had discussed about the introduction and everything, and as I told you that this chapter is divided into three parts. In the first part the description is given about the writer, that is Michael Morpurgo, that he buys a desk or a table for himself, how he finds a letter inside that. Then in the second part, the letter which was written by an English soldier named Jim Macpherson to his wife Connie, right? So the letter which was written by the English soldier, its description is given, that is in the second part. As I told that three parts are there in this chapter. So first part about the writer buying a desk or a table, then finding a letter in that. Then in the second part totally the letter is described, that what all things are written in the letter. And in the third part, how the writer goes to find Connie and hand over the letter to her. So the chapter in all is divided into three parts. So in our first part we had discussed how the table was found and what the writer did with the table. Then we had started with the second part, that in the beginning or the introduction part of the letter we had seen that Jim Macpherson writes to his wife that the British and the German army soldiers had gathered at no man's land, right? So till here we had completed our chapter. Now we will further see that what happens at the no man's land, right? Okay, so we'll start with this paragraph. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie. So he is writing this, Jim Macpherson. Okay, so he is writing this letter to his wife Connie. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feelings as I looked into the eyes of the Fritz. So as we all know that Fritz is the general name given to the German soldier, okay, and the Tommy is the name given to the British soldier. So he is telling to his wife that I cannot express my feelings, as because the soldiers of German army and the English army, as we have discussed in the first part, that during the First World War they were at the enemy and they were both opposite to each other, right? So here it is not possible that you can come in contact or you come close to your enemy. But in this story it is for the first time we can see that even the soldiers who are enemies of each other, they are coming close to each other. So he is saying that I was very much surprised, and as he is saying that I cannot describe my feelings as I looked into the eyes of the Fritz officer who approached me. Hands outstretched. Hands outstretched means when he was coming closer, he was as the posture is in such a way that when two friends meet with each other, that is the posture of hugging, right? When we meet one or the other friend of ours, we try to extend our hands like this and we try to hug them. So hands outstretched. Hans Wolf, he said, gripping my hand warmly and holding it. I am from Dusseldorf. That is the name of the place. I play the cello in the orchestra. Now what is cello? So it is a kind of a musical instrument. The picture I have given on the right hand side, right? So this is not a guitar, it is a cello, right? The name of the instrument is cello. Happy Christmas, Captain Jim Macpherson, I replied. Okay, and a happy Christmas to you too. I am a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England. Ah, Dorset, he smiled. I know this place. I know it very well. We shared my rum ration. Rum is a kind of a drink. Rum ration means usually in the army there is a quota for the drinks provided to the soldiers. So he is saying that we shared my rum ration and his excellent sausage. So the sausage picture I have already shown it to you, right? So this is the picture of sausage. Okay, fine. So he said that we shared our rum and excellent sausage, and we talked. Connie, how we talked? That means he is saying that it was for the first time that we, the enemies of, means we the soldiers of both the army who were actually the enemies of each other, talked with each other in such a way. He spoke almost perfect English, right? He was actually a German soldier. So Jim McPherson was surprised to see that how did he speak so perfect English. Okay, because as in when the country changes, the pronunciations and the language differs. Okay, the way of speaking. As we all know that British English is different from the way the English of the Americans is spoken. Okay, but it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. So the writer is saying that even though he had never been to Dorset, or even he had never been to England, how is it possible that he spoke English in such a good manner? He had learned all he knew of England from school. So right now here he means the German soldier, right? Hans Wolf. Okay, his name is Hans Wolf. So he here means the German soldier. He had learned. So the writer so the English soldier, that is the name is Jim McPherson, tells his wife Connie that Hans Wolf, who was a German soldier, learned all he knew of English from England, from his school, and from reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book, Far from the Maddening Crowd, right? So this is the name of a famous book, Far from the Madding Crowd. So out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. So actually all these are the characters from the book which is given above, that is Far from the Madding Crowd, right? So this is a very famous book, and in this book, this all, that is Bathsheba, Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy Dorset, are all the characters. Okay, he had a wife and one son, just born 6 months ago. So again still the description is about the German soldier only. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere. So huddles means a group of people. So Jim McPherson is saying in his letter that as he is looking away, right, at the other ends, everywhere he could find the group of soldiers in khaki and grey colors, right? So all over no man's land, smoking, talking, laughing, drinking, eating, right? So all of them were enjoying amongst themselves. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake, Connie. So actually Christmas was near, and Jim McPherson's wife Connie had sent a Christmas cake and a marzipan. Marzipan is also a kind of a dish. The meaning I have written, a sweet covering on a cake made from sugar, eggs and almonds. Right, so marzipan is also a kind of a sweet dish. So this cake was actually sent to Jim McPherson, right, at his posting where he was doing his duty. So he is saying that the cake which you had sent to me, we both shared with each other. That is Jim McPherson and the Hans Wolf. Okay. He thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. So again here he means Hans Wolf. That is the German soldier. I agreed. Who is agreeing? That is Jim McPherson. Okay. We agreed about everything, and he was my enemy. So why writer is writing, or why Jim McPherson is writing like this? Because usually the enemies, they don't agree on any matter, right? They are exactly opposite to each other. There never was a Christmas party like it, Connie. So Jim McPherson was so happy that he is telling his wife that this was the best Christmas party he had ever had in his life, and he is saying that he never enjoyed such a party in his whole life. Okay, moving further. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Then among the soldiers who were at the no man's land, one of the soldier brought a football. And as we all know that the English team, that is the England, the team of England, they are very good at the cricket from the beginning, right? And the Germans, they are very good at playing football. Great coats were dumped in piles. Great coats. Here the great coats means the uniforms, right? Grey and the khaki color coats. Because as we know that in England and Germany there is a lot of coldness, right? Chilling cold. So they had worn coats over their body, which they removed it and they kept it aside. And due to that, piles means like this. Piles were formed. Okay, so they dumped in piles to make goal post. So they were actually at no man's land. It was not a traditional playground. So they removed their coats, they made piles, okay, and a goal post was made. Okay, and the next thing we knew, it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. That means the Jim McPherson is saying that the next thing what happened was a match between the Fritz, that is the German army, and Tommy, that is the English army soldiers. Okay, Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered. Cheered means they were clapping and they were stamping their feet. That means they were trying to encourage their own team to keep out the cold as much as anything, because as I said just now that these places are very cold. There is a chilling cold over there, right? There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air. Mingling means we have seen that usually at a place where there is extreme cold or chilling cold, right, when we breathe out or when we breathe in and then when we breathe out a kind of air, right, we can find a type of smoke or usually which is noticed in the colder place. When we try to speak, then also a kind of fog comes out from our mouth. So he is saying that we were sitting so close to each other that when we were talking, right, our breaths mingled. Okay, he saw it too and smiled. So it was for the first time that the enemies were sitting too close to each other, so close to each other. Jim McPherson, he said after a while. Who is saying this? Hans Wolf, who was a German soldier, right? So what he is saying, I think this is how we should resolve this war. So as I said that this event is taking place when actually the World War I was going on and the England or the British, right, the English army and the Germans were on the opposite end. They were true enemies of each other. They were against each other. So this soldier is saying, Hans Wolf is saying that this is how we should resolve. Resolve means try to sort out, try to finish our war. How he is saying that we should finish our war? By fighting. Instead of fighting, a football match should be made, right? Because he says, we'll read out further, and actually he says that in the war lots of people, their lives are lost, right? Lots of people's lives are lost, but by playing cricket or by playing football, right, no one's life is lost, and you can immediately come to know that who is the winner. Okay, so we'll see further what is written. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. Orphan means a child without a mother or the father. No wives becomes widow. That means trying to say that no soldier dies and because of which no woman becomes the widow. I would prefer cricket, I told him. So who is saying this? This is said by Jim McPherson, who is an English soldier. So as I said that the English people, they were good at playing cricket and the Germans were good at playing football. Then we Tommies could be sure of winning probably. So here the writer of the letter, that is Jim McPherson, is saying that if there is a cricket match going to take place between both the teams, then he is saying that we are for sure going to win. But for football, I am not sure, right? He is knowing that Germans are good at playing football. We laughed at that and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Connie, Fritz won. So in the letter, Jim McPherson is saying to his wife that it is very sad to say that we, the English soldiers, that is the Tommy, lost the football match against the Fritz. Okay, 2-1. That means 2 goals were in the Fritz team and 1 goal had been made by the English team. But as Heinz Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it wasn't quite fair. So as they had become quite friendly with each other, that is Heinz Wolf and Jim McPherson, right? So at the end of the match, when the Fritz won the football match, his leader, that is the soldier Heinz Wolf, told Jim McPherson, who was the leader of the English army, that our goalpost was smaller, right? Heinz Wolf generously said our goal was wider than theirs. That means the goalpost where the Germans had to do their goal was wider, so it had become very easy for them to do the goal. Okay, so this is the fun, the way they are talking with each other, right? We'll move further. The time came and all too soon, that is very soon, when the game was finished, the snaps and the rum and the sausage had long since run out. Run out means got over, and we knew it was all over. That means the party, the enjoyment was now over. Okay, we all know that all these things are for a limited period of time, then we need to come back to our original life. I wished Heinz well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon, because they were on their duty at the post given to them, okay, in the army. So he is wishing him that he wishes for Heinz Wolf that soon this war will get over and you will be well and you will again meet your family, that the fighting would end and we could all go home, right? Because the soldiers, they themselves also have a family like us. They are doing their duty at their post which is given to them, but ultimately they also at the end of the day want to meet their family, live their life with their family. I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides, Heinz Wolf said, right? So Heinz Wolf, who is the German soldier, he is saying that he thinks that every soldier, whether he is in the English army or the German army or any other army, wants means on both the side wants that. That means what they want, that they want to end the war, they don't want to fight, and they want to go and live peacefully with their families. Take care, Jim McPherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you. So this is said by Heinz Wolf. He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt, that means they had become so close to each other, they had become so good friends with each other that they did not want to part away, they did not want to go away from each other, right? He turned to wave just once, that means bye, by saying goodbye. So he just turned to wave just once and then become one of the hundreds of grey coated men drifting back towards their trenches. Right, drifting means a slow and gradual movement from one place to another. That means all the soldiers, that is the English soldiers, moved toward their post, and the German soldiers, they went towards the trenches, that is the bunkers, towards their post. Okay. Further, that night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol. Carol is a song which is usually sung in the church by a group of people, and singing it quite beautifully. It was Stilly Natured Silent Night. So our boys gave them a rousing chorus. Chorus means sometimes we hear the song and we give a music, that is known as chorus. So rousing chorus of while shepherds watched. That means the shepherds were over there. They watched both the armies singing and enjoying. We exchanged carols for a while, and then we all felt silent. We had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. That means Jim McPherson is saying that this was the best time which I will always remember, right, as the best time of his life, and he will never forget that time. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. Why he is saying this? Because he was sure that in this war, many of the people, they were going to lose their lives, right? Lots of the families were going to be disturbed by the loss of their family members' death. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. Long for peace means how much both the armies want peace and security. That means both the armies, they are willing to live peacefully and go back to their home and spend time peacefully with their families. We shall be together again soon. I am sure of it. So this is what Jim McPherson is saying to his wife, that I am sure that very soon I will be back home and I am going to meet you. Your loving Jim. So here the letter gets over, which was written by Jim McPherson, an English soldier. Okay, and here we end up our lecture today. In the third part, we will see how the writer of the chapter, that is Michael Morpurgo, find out Connie, that how he goes to find out Connie, how he meets her, what are the reactions of Connie, and what is the end of the story, right? And why the title of the chapter given, the best Christmas present in the world, is justified. Okay, so to watch the next part of the story, please watch my video. That is the third part of this chapter. Till then, thank you so much for watching my video, and if you like my video, please subscribe my channel.